This is the Tallahassee Business Podcast. Over the next few weeks, our mission is to bring you interviews with key leaders and community members with information you can use while we work together to navigate the impacts of the COVID-19 coronavirus. The Tallahassee Business Podcast is presented by the 223 Agency, a digital relations firm.
Hey there, Tallahassee. Welcome to another installment of the Tallahassee Business Podcast. I'm Jay Revel, your host, and we are delighted to be with you once again with another great episode, another wonderful story of people who are making Tallahassee such a wonderful place to do business and really helping our community prosper and continue to grow. And today we've got another great episode, another wonderful guest here with us, someone who you might be familiar with his business. Hopefully you're a patron there. And as we've been talking so much recently about the COVID-19 pandemic, one of the areas that we've been wanting to dive into is that of the retail industry. Obviously, retail going through many changes in the world today, and we've got great retailers here in Tallahassee. Just like Scott Maphis, he is the president and CEO of Trai and Ski. You might know, again, that company, been around for a little bit, great providers of a variety of services and goods here in our community. But I want to welcome Scott to the show, and we're going to have a little conversation with him about his business and how things have been going recently. Scott, welcome to the Tallahassee Business Podcast.
Hey, everybody. My name's Scott, just like he said. So this is my first time ever doing one of these, so I'm kind of nervous. You know, y'all have to bear with me just a little bit. I'm sure y'all hear that all the time, though.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, we try to make this thing as easy as possible on everybody. And, I think every time we get someone with a new, fresh story to tell, those are some of our best episodes often. And this will certainly be like that. Scott, tell me a little bit about yourself and just how you came into owning the business and being a retailer.
So, I'm born and raised here in Tallahassee, graduated from Lincoln High School, graduated from college here at Florida State, married a local girl, so both of our families are from right here in North Florida. My mom owned a small business growing up, Eden's Hallmark Shop, and my dad was a public store manager. In fact, he pretty much hired every one of my friends all through high school, and everybody worked for Mr. Maphis, as everybody called him. Even his peers called him that. And so that's where I started working when I turned 16, and worked at darn near every single store in not only our area. I opened a store in Valdosta, and after 22 years of working at Publix, and, as somebody that grew up in a Publix, I had seen how it had changed from being family and, everybody in every store to where, and it needed to change because it couldn't stay that way and stay profitable. And it had become a true business. Even at a local level, it was still a true business. And, it was something that probably struck me as a little harder than a lot of other people, seeing how it was just something that, I grew up in. All of the managers played baseball together and they hung out together and they ate together, and you're not able to do and have that kind of relationship today in the big corporate world. And so, I'm driving around, it's 2016, and I'm driving all around Tallahassee trying to say, what am I passionate about? What was I passionate about before I started working at Publix and, putting in those anywhere from 50 to 70 hours a week and working at all different hours, and I found myself sitting right here about to walk into a store that was right down the shopping center from where my mom had a shop, and that was the Trai and Ski shop. And me being an Eagle Scout here in town, it's hard not to go into a store like Trai and Ski and see all of this eye candy and everything that was going on. And it's one of those situations that Trai and Ski had been here since 1975. And there was two previous owners before me. The first owner was not in it very long, and it was called the Trail Shop at that point. And then when J.C. Gayhart had purchased the store in 1977 or 78, he had changed the store's name to the Trail and Ski Shop, and started picking up snow ski apparel for the clientele that was asking for that here. JC's one of those very rare individual. You'd think he was a pastor, because any person that had ever walked into his store and had spent money, he could tell you all the way down to the color of something that you paid for in upwards of 30 years ago. So, my wife and I, we sit down and we look at all of the numbers, and we make an offer, and JC and I, we're able to come to an agreement that was mutually beneficial to both of us in the purchase agreement. And I'm sitting there and I'm just kind of chit-chatting with him, and I was like, yeah, I remember, when I was going to Philmont when I was a scout and I was 16, and I remember, I came in and I bought, a jacket from you, JC. And of course, JC kind of stops and he nods a little bit and he says, yeah, that was a North Face jacket. It was a Mountain Light jacket. It was green. It's not very often that back in those days I'd sold a $400 jacket, and then your mom comes in and turns around and buys the inner liner for it for another 130. But and JC could tell every single customer what they had purchased in the past, and every person that walked in, he knew exactly who they were, and by name. So, and I buy the store, everything, is very different from operating at Publix, in that, at Publix, I'm ordering from the warehouse essentially. So everything is just in time. I need that product tomorrow, and I'm ordering it, today, and it's going to be here tomorrow. Well, welcome to non-just-in-time ordering, and I am now pretty much like a buyer at our warehouse, because I'm essentially buying product 8 months out. And yes, we get to modify that, but then you have this delicate balance between, if I modify too much, I lose all of my terms, and now it costs me more to buy those things than it did if I'd have left something. So now you're starting to play this totally different game than what we had before at Publix. And so we go in, and it's at about the it may have been 2 months mark. JC, he's outside and he's washing his car, and he slips off his ladder and he breaks his hip. And so I now have a store that's new to me. It's got a very established clientele, and our plan of this transition, where he was going to introduce me to every one of the customers that walks in for pretty much a year, and all of this, and we were going to market, all of that fell to the wayside. And so customers would come in and they'd say, hey, is JC here? And you're like, no, he's out for the day, because it's not my place to tell him everything that's going on in JC's life, that he's in the hospital or that he's not out. And then they just turned around and walked out. And so right through the gates, I'm like, oh my gosh, if he's been this, the true captain of the ship, and if he's not there, they don't feel like they're getting good advice, which was something very, very different from what I was used to dealing with at Publix, where, the management, we did everything that we could to help train and educate our associates, so that the manager didn't have to answer every single question that could possibly come up with everything, because you'd never get anything done. And so, trial by fire, he comes back at about 6 months or so, and it's and then he just starts working for me, and he works for me for about a year and a half after that, continuing. And he's still a great guy. He comes in periodically, and I remember the first thing that we go to market, and we're sitting around and we're talking to all of these other business owners, and I'm like, so what's something that you sell in your store that you would have never thought you would sell in the store? And one of the things that came around is that, one of the ladies, she owns a surf shop. She's 500 plus miles from the ocean, and she owns this surf shop in the middle of nowhere in Atlanta. And she's selling ukuleles like fire. Okay. And I'm like, okay, so now we take in ukuleles, and on a whim. And of course, JC's over here going, I don't get it. And of course, I'm over here going, well, what better to do around a campfire than play instruments and having a good time, because those were some of my fondest memories of scouting was the dads, and we'd all play instruments and sing, around the campfire. And so it wasn't long, and we're selling ukuleles like fire. And while it's not as good as it was the second year, we still have a very steady ukulele business. And once everybody says, I understand, because it's a small instrument, you can pack it anywhere. And we've got some of them that are made of plastic that you don't have to worry about warping and things like that. And everybody gets it at that point. And, we'll have some kids come in and we'll teach them new songs when they, if the ones that have an interest. And, so it's one of those things that sometimes it even allows our parents to have an opportunity to shop. But so, business had kind of, I believe, kind of gotten a little stagnant with JC after him having been there for darn near 40 years by himself. And, the merchandise a lot of times looked the same year after year. It was very steady, and the clientele was older. Clientele in the store, I would say, probably was an average of 55 plus at the time that I bought the store. So I take in the store, I'm ordering things a little bit different, and I'm like building up inventory so that we have things to sell, new and interesting things. And people would come in and man, the store looks so full, and this, that, and the other. And, which as business people know, that can be a good thing, and it can be a very bad thing too, because you've got a lot of risk in having all of that product as well. And, we went through my first half year, because previously we were on as a C corporation. Our business cycle ended in July, and then now it ends in December. So we had a short inventory. We had a better than average year. And then the next year we had the best year that Trail and Ski had ever had. And so the third year wasn't quite as good. And then now that kind of brings us into our COVID year. Last year with ski season being like it was, that we didn't have we were warm on this end of the country through ski season. So we didn't have as good of a ski season this year. And so normally you would pick that right up into the spring with spring ski. And right there, right before spring break, that's when COVID hit. Yeah. And so that kind of left us really with way too much inventory and stuff that's not going to sell except to a clientele that is affluent and that's going somewhere to ski. And so, we've had to do some pivoting, and we've had some successes, and some things have just been so. A lot of our customer clientele, since I've owned the store, continues to trend younger than it was, but I still do have a very mature base for a clientele that really and truthfully has not returned yet. One success story that we've had since COVID, and while it has been an utter fail for us thus far, has been our online sales. Our online sales pre-COVID we were happy if I got one online sale a week. We were over here like, because that's a new customer. It was something that, we had made that sale, and it was like, woohoo, it's somebody not in Tallahassee. And you turn around now and I'm getting 4 a day. Whereas, before it was probably 1% of it, maybe 2 at the absolute most percent of our total yearly sales. Since COVID, it's about 40% of our total sales.
Wow.
And the first month once COVID hit, all the way through the 1st of May, we were, scrounging around somewhere around 30% of last year's sales. We opted not to close. We kept our online business rolling. I increased our Google budget, knowing that we did not have anything coming in on really in store. And that really did propel a lot of our Google sales to really kind of light up on fire. So now from May, when the governor actually opened up the state for the most part to, for stage 1, we're running at about 70% of last year's sales. So we're definitely able to position ourselves to keep our people fed, that we can make sure that our bills are paid and that we're still where we need to be. So,
well, that's good. I mean, that's pretty impressive that you've been able to pivot like that and be able to, at least get the revenue, on a course to catching up to where you normally would be. Are you excited to see some signs maybe that traffic may be coming back soon? With the governor's new phase 2 of the reopening, it seems like it's certainly a signal to the public that it's quote unquote safe to shop again.
Yeah, but yet again, that older clientele is still leery of being out and about. I think we'll start seeing some new things in the market that we're not used to seeing. And one place that we see that is in our running store. So at the beginning of the year, Trail and Ski, we opened a standalone, even I say standalone, it's 2 doors down. We've got the World Nail Salon between us, but we opened a specialty running store. And that store's called Cadence Running. And one thing that we have seen, and I'm sure that everybody that has been at home beating their head against the wall trying to find every project that they could possibly imagine doing at home during this time has seen is you drive up and down the streets in Tallahassee and the neighboring surrounding areas, and you see tons of people walking. You see them running. With gyms closed, those people did not just up and just stop exercising, but they transitioned into exercising more outside. You see more and more people at the greenways. And the effect that has had is, it's my understanding that the bike shops are telling me that there are no adult bikes available for sale in the United States. Try and find a kayak. There are no kayaks in the United States. They have sold out the entire pipeline of many of things, that we consider to be, outdoor adventure items that immediately you go, I thought I was the only one that was thinking about, spending time at the springs and different things. And you're not. There's been a massive resurgence in the market in outdoor specialty retailers, that are more people are outside. I'm seeing in my business, even though we don't carry kayaks, we carry stand-up paddle boards. Stand-up paddleboard sales are selling. But Bird Legs bicycle shops, it's right across the street, and they are constantly selling. And Kristen, the manager over there, she's saying that they're having a great year due to bicycle sales. But now the flip side is they're about out and they can't get any more. So that's about to be a different problem for them. But over here in the camping world, what we're seeing is that car camping is starting to be a resurgence. People that they're saying, hey, I don't have anything to do with the kids because, lots of these camps, they haven't opened yet. And many of them are going to open in July. And yet they don't have anything to do with the kids. And they're taking their kids, like we did when we were little kids, that, hey, everybody hop in. We're going to all sleep in this 6-person tent. Dad or mom or them together is going to cook on that Coleman stove out there at the campgrounds. And, you've got this resurgence of car camping where families are back to go into our state parks, and they're going to the mountains, and they're going to the beach, and, they're not just staying at the Holiday Inn Express. They're not just staying at the Airbnbs, and they're actually camping it, saving some money and having a good time. So like my rental fleet on camping stuff has been doing really well. That's not something new that we have done, but we have seen a resurgence of renting more stuff that we than we did last year. So those kind of things in our business are definitely up. Running shoes, last year in May, we were up 175% in running shoes versus last year. And it's not just simply because we now have a running store. It's that people are coming in and saying, I need shoes. And it's like they walk in a trail and ski, and, well, what are you doing? And, I'm on the greenways, or I'm just walking the neighborhood, or what have you. Well, come on, let's go find you some comfortable shoes to walk the neighborhood in over here at the running store. And they may get helped over there, but they've come into trail and ski first. And so we're seeing a lot of good trend on our outdoor stuff. And it's not like the ultralight backpacking stuff that we would normally sell in the spring, where people are going, I'm planning on spending 3 months through hiking the Appalachian Trail for that 2,000 plus miles. And, I need ultralight gear so that I'm not wearing. No, these are people that are coming in going, me and the kids are wanting to go to camp some, I need a tent, and that's been a success for us that hopefully will continue to build for us.
That's very cool. Yeah. I'm a big golfer personally, and just the golf industry has mirrored that for sure. I mean, to your point about kayaks and camping gear, things you can't get. The national supply of pull carts for golf courses completely went out. It was crazy. But yeah, I mean, people were coming back. They're coming back to the outdoors in a big way, and I just love hearing those stories. I mean, I was as I'm hearing you tell those tales, I'm remembering a lot of my own childhood and going out with a few different families and doing quite a bit of camping during the winter and things. And it is, you see our parks are busy. My wife and I, we go walk down in Cascades Park quite a bit, and there's just, people out enjoying what makes our hometown so great. And I'm just thrilled to hear that people are doing that. Looking ahead, where do you think that's the beginning of something big for you, perhaps in the next few years?
I think so. People will make memories, and what I'm seeing is generally, like before, we would have like that one person a year that comes in and they say, I want to do some long-term camping, and I've never camped before. And we would get that person like once a year, and typically it would be a middle-aged female, and they'd be like, everybody tells me I'm crazy. And, you'd be over here going, I don't think you're crazy. I'm just kind of jealous I'm not going, and now I'm seeing, like one of those people every other week. And so it's like, we're over here telling them, hey, we're going to help you be safe out here. But, we want you to come back here. Let's set up a time, and I'm going to teach you how to make a fire. And I'm going to teach you, more about, keeping your water filtered while you're out there, and things like that your car campers don't have to necessarily deal with. Your car camper is going to come in there with a jug of lighter fluid, and he's going to spray the lighter fluid, and and he's going to throw that match down, and he's going to look over at his wife and his kids, and he'll be like, "Ah, ah, ah, fire, fire," and everything is like, he feels like this big, he's a man,
Yeah.
he's made fire now for the family, and and he's like Prometheus, and he's like, "I'll show you how to make this fire, for the rest of your life, and all is good in the outdoors." But that's not necessarily the way that we do backpacking. And I love having people that are different, that I'm not used to seeing in the store. New customers, they come in and they say, "I want to try this, and yet I don't know what I'm doing." And they almost come in and they're like embarrassed. And they're like, "I don't want to tell you I'm new to this," because they don't want to get judged or what have you. And it's so exciting to us and the team, because we're over here going, "No, that's the future of our business. We want you in here. Come on, let me show you how to pack your backpack when you get everything. Well, what do you have that's good, and what do you have that really you should think hard about taking, and what should you not take, and things like that." But those customers are have been what really kind of keeps our camping stuff going, is that kind of customer, and the returning scouts, and just regular everyday outdoorsmen. But what we're really excited about are these car campers that are going to be taking their families, and they're going to be forging new memories. And the other thing that's, I think, that has really been a blessing to our outdoor communities is, yes, we all dealt with COVID, and we're still dealing with COVID, but Lord, talk about beautiful weather this spring.
Mm.
I cannot tell you the last time I can remember not having 100 degrees at night and through the day all the way this late. We have had just an absolute beautiful spring this year. And I think that has also helped propel people to be outside more. It's allowed them to transition from, hey, it's not cold, and it's not 100 degrees. I'm not walking and it's 95, where it was like 82 in the day, and it's like 65 at night. And you see all of these people, like in my community, that everybody's just hanging out on the driveways, and you get this like street party, which is everybody's kind of away from each other, but you got like 3 or 4 families, and we're all just kind of sitting down and just kind of chit-chatting and talking about the day and this, that, and the other. And it's been so nice getting to know your neighbors that you may not have known the way that now. So it helps us relate with each other, I think.
I totally agree with that. My wife and I, we have a toddler. She's 2-year-old little girl, and we spent so much time outside with her. Once we started working from home, all through March, all through April, all through May. And it really wasn't until about Memorial Day weekend when it kind of started getting a little warm finally. But yeah, we have been blessed with just this incredible weather, and I think you're right. I think it has invited so many of us back outside. It's invited us to be nearer family and friends again, and kind of to rediscover some of those things. And I think you're going to keep hearing the store bell ring a lot. I think people are going to find that as addicting as our screens and things can be, that the outdoors and being with people you love and know so well is much more addicting.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
What, Scott, kind of maybe to bring the things in for a landing, what are some things that you wish people knew more about your businesses, and what's the best way for people to find out more about your companies?
So we do have an online store, obviously, as we were talking about earlier. That is www.trailandski.com. If I had it do over again, I certainly would not have put an "and," because everybody wants to either put an ampersand or spell it out, but it is actually spelled out in our name. That inventory is live as to what is in the store. But that's one of the biggest challenges that Trail and Ski has had, since it had to be there well before I was there. It's so many people still don't know about us. I'm still pleasantly surprised and shocked how many referrals we get from, while they're not our competition, they are in a similar business. We get tons of referrals from Bass Pro Shops. We get lots of referrals from Kevin's Guns and Sporting Goods. We get lots of referrals from Dick's, of all places, where people are asking specific questions about footwear. They're asking specific questions about how I should pack and things like that. And they just refer them to us. So, but I'm still, it's one of those that we still continue to struggle to figure out how to reach that next generation that are not current